We're in flyover country, right? So I was watching somebody the other day, I was watching some video and they asked them to point out Nebraska and they pointed Oklahoma.
I'm Victor Hwang. My friend Phil Wickham and I are on the road, traveling the heartland to listen to local entrepreneurs who are starting and growing their businesses. We want to see communities in action and share the stories of people who are inspiring hope and renewing our economy. Our first stop is in Omaha, where we'll meet entrepreneurs and learn about the communities that support them.
I'm based in Omaha, but we work closely with Lincoln, Nebraska, which is 40 minutes west of here. This isn't an Omaha versus Lincoln thing, and frankly, it's not a Nebraska versus Missouri or Nebraska versus New York, really. But when you boil it down, I think it's individuals that are passionate and know that something exists in their own backyard and want to tell that story. It's just a love for the community, a love for the city or the region.
It was truly a leap of faith for me to make this decision and start this company. It started off really tough because Omaha it's pretty conservative, and in tech it's very white male dominated, as it is across our country. Starting a company that was a code school led by somebody who really didn't know how to code at the time but had a strong interest in it, and I understood the value in it. But just someone who looks like me showing up selling it was really interesting and challenging at first.
But yeah, during the early times, it's stressful. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Should we not do this? But then
A lot of self-doubt, do you think? Maybe this was a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you meet people and you're like, okay, this does make sense. And then you get a little taste of that and you're like, okay, we got to keep doing this. And so you get to a point where you're like, this can't fail. I'm very confident that it will work out, and if it doesn't work out how I see it, which it probably won't, it'll still be okay.
The Fortune 500s that are here have done great things for the city, but the makeup, I think, of who I am didn't necessarily want to fit in that same box. I think late 2010, visited with my wife and said, hey, like, there's no guarantee here, but I think I need to work at this Silicon Prairie News and Big Omaha, the event that we did, full time. She was less nervous than I was. She's like, well, if you feel that this is a calling and what you need to do, then you need to do it.
Being in Omaha, we had our blinders on. There wasn't venture capital in Omaha, Nebraska. I always say we opened up a software company like we would have opened up a laundromat. Like, you have to make X amount of dollars to pay your bills, and the goal of starting a company is to make money, and we want to make money.
I'm very persistent, but the funding process is a process where you absolutely have to be. In this market particularly, people don't like to tell you no because we're very polite people. And so sometimes you just have to ask them to tell you no.
Midwestern nice or Nebraska nice,
Yes,
maybe they call
yes.
it. Does that get in the way of business sometimes?
Yeah, it does, absolutely, because I would rather be told no and move on, instead of thinking there's a little hope.
Our goal is to make our people a priority, even over our customers. Our belief is if we make our team members number one, they will kind of make the people around them number one.
Last year, ConAgra laid off a bunch of people, and a bunch of jobs were lost. People's lives were uprooted, and it was kind of devastating for our community. But at the same time, you had companies like Flywheel and Huddle growing and hiring and all of that. And so I just thought it was great to see young companies providing opportunities for people in this community and kind of changing the landscape and saying, we're not massive, but we're still changing people's lives and improving the community overall.
When I started this, I wasn't married. I didn't have a family. I have 2 daughters now. Just general life maturity, I think, happens to you. But also looking at 200 faces in a town hall meeting and knowing that they're having children, that they're buying houses, that they're buying new cars, that they're trying to save for college, they're trying to pay their student loans. There's a certain amount of responsibility as a leader of an organization when you look out there and you say, holy cow, your decisions are important. They matter beyond than yourself.
I could have been a very balanced human being, but this is more important.
You became an entrepreneur.
So now I'm not, but that's okay.
What do you think of the overall sense of Omaha and the ecosystem there?
It is on people's radar screens as like this cool little gem of a city. You can just see it's got this very cool vibe. There's so much art and thoughtfulness and beauty in the city.
That Kaneko Art Gallery was something else
Kaneko
too.
Art Gallery is just amazing. This is an amazing story.
I also got a sense of just how natural it was. Like they felt so comfortable doing what they were doing, and I think there's something about entrepreneurship which is an expression of what's there, right? So it wasn't as if any of them felt like they were forcing themselves to do something they didn't really want to do.
Right.
There is that sense that entrepreneurship is around letting go of all these things that inhibit you from expressing who you really are and what you want to be.
One of the things they all had in common that makes them all, successful and bound for very big successes. They don't really get caught up in sort of useless worries or what other people think. Everything begins with radical self-belief. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you love? Do you know what you're good at? And are you willing to bet on yourself?
And they all looked like they were doing something that was kind of pretty obvious to them, that's the course, that's the path that they had to take. There was a lot of forward motion and ambition to keep moving forward. Yeah. It was cool to see.
Or anytime you can spend the day with 4 amazing entrepreneurs, doesn't matter where you are, it's a great day.